Welcome to Not Factory Approved. Today's episode is about making some improvements to this cheap old sandblast cabinet. I've done a lot of sandblasting with it and I put up with a lot of failings, but I've made some improvements along the way, like the gloves and the nozzle and the screen inside and the lighting. So now I'm going to make a top window here. And this top window is going to come up and allow me to view inside the unit and hopefully stop direct impact of the blast media onto the viewing surface. There are plastic adhesive windows that I can change from time to time, and those fill up with media, and they also get fogged, and all the fine dirt inside collects on them, so it becomes very difficult to see what you're doing. And it doesn't last very long at all before it starts clouding up. So I'm going to try and change that and hopefully improve this. I'll show you step by step. Here are some of the materials I'm going to use. This is the top window that previously sat on the sandblast cabinet and held the viewing surface and the protective surface over top of that. Here is the protective surface. Unfortunately, it cracked years ago when I was doing something with it, or cleaning, I think. Something dropped on it. Anyway, there it is. The crack is not really objectionable, so I'm not going to worry about that. And then the two wood pieces underneath are what I'll be making the shroud out of. I don't know if you can see the pencil marks. Those are the side pieces. These two. And then the back piece here, which I have to cut yet. And then the front should come down to the width of a 1x2. That's my plan anyway, frame it inside. Well, I'll try and frame it outside, but I'm not sure I can do that because I don't want media collecting up in the corners any more than I have to. And then I'll have to paint them so that they shed some of the media. This is the surface that goes inside. There's a plastic window that's glued on here. That's replaceable. It has to be replaceable. So the main thing with this is to make sure that you get it attached firmly with the adhesive tape with no gaps. Any little gap will let media in. This is the hood I made for the Sandblaster. The idea being that the viewing glass will be here, and I'll peer down inside that way. And I'm hoping that the light is sufficient. There's another light inside there. It's been blasted with media, so it's a little frosted and doesn't shine as brightly as it should. So we'll see what happens with the new one. It's an LED that snaps into place. I put some, well, first off, this is a fine bit of wood butchery. Don't look too close. But I did paint it, so I put this rubber around the lip, try and stop the media getting out. And I will be plugging these holes through here. I'll be using two at the back, one each side. The hole there, with a hook like this, and that will spin around. I'll put it into position so that it spins around and holds the top tightly. So I have yet to seal this and put the frame around it. It's here, and the viewing surface. I'll show you what it looks like at the end. When the top goes on, it won't seal properly, so rather than having the media blasting all around or even just dribbling out, I've taken this old bicycle tube. I didn't split it any more than just to take the valve out of it. And a few inches because it was a little too long to go all the way around properly. Match up, and then I just power stapled in. You can use a hand stapler, would work. Or screws if you put holes through the rubber first. That will work also. So now it's sitting up a bit, and the frame will sit down against that. And hopefully that will limit substantially the amount of media that comes out. There's the hood attached, sealed. Should be okay. Gotta do the holes yet. One light is okay there, it shines inside pretty good. You're getting a lot of reflection off the plexiglass, so it's kind of hard to show you. This second light, though, is too bright the way it is. I'm probably going to have to put a shroud over top of it so it doesn't shine in my face. I'll show you inside. There it is. Got the plywood in the front just to have it so it doesn't slide down any further. I've got the rubber all around. See, this one is folded up there, and the inner tube all up in there. So see how that works. And then this is how I'm retaining it. One hook on this side, matching hook on the other side, and that should do it. So now just to plug these holes, just going to use some caulking. I could put screws with washers. That'll probably get in the way of the lid. I'll just use a daub of caulking. So now I'm going to make a shroud to deflect the light from the light that's sitting vertically in the housing, the viewing window. It just shines a little too brightly in my eyes. So I'm going to use this 3-inch can, cut it, put flanges on it, and screw it to the wood at the back. This is actually a 3.5-inch diameter can. So that makes 5.5 inches circumference. So I've marked it off in the start. I've left 1/4 inch each side, so that's a 1/2 inch, so then it's 5 inches. So I marked it off in 1-inch marks all the way around, alternating 1/2 inch in. That's where I'll drill a hole to mount it. And that will give me the flanges that I need. Here's what I've done so far. So I had to cut out the center one, obviously, because that won't fit up at the top. But 4 is certainly adequate to hold it. So there's the tabs. I folded over the edges. Nothing looks very fancy, but it's going to be hidden, more or less. So I'll put that to the size I want, put the screws in it, and that will hold everything in place. I like to make fundamental errors. The housing is at an angle, so obviously the shroud that is square is not going to fit up at the top because it hits the plexiglass. So I have to redo it, trim it off, get an angle, make it look much uglier than it did, crimp it a little tighter in places like that, and then I shall mount it with 2 screws. It's going to be roughly an angle about like that to allow the light to escape onto the sides. Right now I'm viewing through the plexiglass. That is way brighter than this cabinet has ever been inside. Now I will see if I can actually see what I'm doing when I'm sandblasting instead of working through a fog. But here's the shroud that's on there. An old tin can that I cut up. Probably should have used plastic in retrospect, but it does help to really direct the light down, keep it out of my eyes. So we'll see how that works. So after doing the complete rim, that's about an hour's worth of work, an hour and a half. You can see it's a bit cloudy in there. It's getting some dust over top of the window, but that is so much better than it used to be. I can actually tell the whole rim as to where I've removed rust and where I haven't, and whether there's little pit marks left or not, which I never could before. I was just guessing. So definitely an improvement. This is the finished hood and cabinet. One thing I do have yet to do is it leaks here a little more than I thought it would. So I'm going to put 2 hooks, just like I have put on the sides. there to hold it down, and I'll put those here. And then it's still easily detached. I can clean things out, and it's easy to clean as well. So I've yet to clean the glass or plexiglass a little bit more inside, but it was far improved from what it has been in the past. So if you have a Sandblaster, I would suggest or recommend that you put on some kind of hood so you can get the viewing surface a little more at an angle, so it doesn't collect as much dust and doesn't get blasted by the media. Nobody likes to be blasted by the media,